I love slow computers sometimes. But all right, y'all. Now we are back for another episode of the We're Getting Rowdy podcast. As you know, I'm Tyler McBee,
I'm Cooper Bell.
and we're here to bring a pretty eventful week that just happened in Vol Athletics. We'll start out with softball after being having to postpone a little bit. They're finishing up their series with South Carolina, but earlier in the week they started. They got their wins against Tennessee Tech on Monday, and in the doubleheader, they beat Tennessee State twice. So, love seeing that, those early game weeks. Saturday in Columbia dropped very close 1-2 to 3. But oh my gosh, rallied it yesterday to win 11-0.
Yeah.
You just love seeing that. And that just shows the fight this Lady Ball team has.
Yeah, you love to see it. And especially after a heartbreaking loss on Saturday, walk-off fashion. Um, but, yeah, I mean, it was nice to see it bounce back in a huge way on Sunday. And it was nice seeing them get those wins earlier in the week. And they just keep rolling. So ready to see where they're going to keep going.
Yeah, no, it definitely was a heartbreaker after we had came back to tie it up on the game on Saturday and then just seeing us drop. But from our box score, two like monster innings, 4 runs in the second, and then in the sixth, capping it off with 5 runs right there. That was just a lot, to say the
Yeah.
least. Like, just impressive right there. And give credit to where it's due. It's like the girls aren't going to fight. They finish up that series tonight as we're recording this on Monday at 7 p.m. So let's hope to get that series win just because in reality, it's getting closer time for their SEC tourney.
Yeah.
So we really got to start to see some of these wins to help them. But now, kind of going over to another Diamond team with the oh, I'll say this: we did call it though. We
Yeah.
said there was not going to be a sweep, no matter what. We said no matter who won it, it would probably be 2-1.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this was our first uh series loss of the season, but we played a really good Vanderbilt team at that
Yeah.
point.
Vanderbilt, I mean, everybody knows what Vanderbilt is whenever it comes to baseball. You know, strong performances all around most of the time. And, I was amazed that, we put on the performance that we did on Saturday. So, I mean, in all reality, I mean, you have to think about it. I mean, the first two games of the series, we went up against pitchers that are going to be drafted in the first round of the MLB draft. With Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. They're both amazing. So I mean, it was nice being able to steal that one from. Yeah, I guess you could. I wouldn't even call it a steal, but win the game on Saturday, and especially the way we did it. But tough game on Sunday and a tough game on Friday night. But you know, we showed that we're in the right direction whenever it comes to catching up with Vanderbilt, and I'm we're almost there. But I'm excited for the rest of the season. See how they regroup after their first series loss, and I still expect big things. I fully expect them to learn from this. You know, I if we end up playing Vandy again, maybe it's a different story. Who knows? But I just thought of this. We could be playing Vandy, two more times.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, once in the SEC and then once when during the regular tournament. But to me, we proved that we're almost there. And I think this weekend was a good learning experience for this team. So I mean, this is the first time we've played Vanderbilt in 2 seasons basically. So didn't play them last season and then played them the season before. So they went a whole season without playing really a top notch baseball team. So it was nice to see that, and nice to see us get one out of there.
Yeah, I agree. And I know the one thing, like, I looked at that Friday's game, the one thing that really hurt us were those errors we kept
Yeah,
getting.
3
Like,
errors, yeah.
and considering we only had one in the whole Florida series, like they
Yeah.
say, you can't win a game against a top ranked team like that with multiple errors in a game because that will just make that momentum harder for you to get back in your favor. But yeah, we proved we can play with the best of the best at that point, that we can at least hang in there. But I got to give credit to Evan Russell. He was
Oh,
the
yeah.
star of that series. Came in late that Friday game, started Saturday, another 3-run homer game, like 3 home runs in one game for him. And then he hit another home run on Sunday. So 4 home runs in the series with Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he's you can't say enough about him. He one of those guys that, he's gonna go in every single game and he's gonna perform. And I found this out yesterday, but I didn't know this.
Yeah,
Evan Russell's actually a walk
yeah,
on.
he's only a walk on at that point.
So I didn't know that, but we need to we need to get him on scholarship.
Yeah, no, like for him to be a senior and starting to go out like this, I'm willing to bet he won't, of course, be drafted like really high, but there's gonna be some scouts probably taking some attention to him now at that point, especially after a
Oh,
performance like that. Like
yeah.
when I say like high, I'm not talking like a first, second round type, guy that you hear about, but he's gonna start at least getting a lot more attention than what I think he was earlier in the season.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And I think, yeah, he probably wasn't getting that much attention at the beginning of the season, but with the performances that he's had, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if there are some scouts looking at him. Um, but I think he would definitely be a project if he got drafted. Um, but he's defied odds at UT. Like we said, coming from a walk on, and now look at him. The savior of Saturday's game. So why can't he defy the odds in the MLB? So I hope he can do something with that.
Yeah, I do too. And like funny thing is, I laughed like when I saw in his comments from the post game interview, his grand slam was supposed to be a sac fly
Yeah,
originally. And then it turned into that. I was just like, what a turn of events. And the fact, like, all he said is, I don't know, I just ate some cinnamon toast crunch before I went to the field. And I was just thinking, what? It's like, what's
yeah.
going on?
It's like if I ate cinnamon toast crunch, I wish I could hit a grand slam. But
Right?
not everybody's Evan Russell.
Yeah, no, but and then I even looked to a Sunday's game a little bit. I wish Pav could have been out there after
Yeah.
taking a pretty big shot from like that pitch, but we got to get Pavoloni back, in my opinion. Like, I mean, our backup, he's still really good. Like, he's still up there. But I think Pav is just the more consistent one out of like our catchers, and we need a solid guy like Pav, like in these, like especially in these last few SEC series.
Yeah, and Connor Pavoloni, he brings that experience that you want at that catcher position. And we all know, he hit a home run Saturday, but yeah, we definitely need to get him back.
Yeah, I mean, considering look at also he had so many preseason honors too,
Yeah,
like before this. So Pavoloni is so good at that point,
yeah.
and that's just a guy. But looking coming up, we got the midweek game against Tennessee Tech on Tuesday, and then they travel to College Station against A&M. I haven't really been able to see A&M how they've done this year, so it's like,
I think they're towards the bottom of the SEC, if I remember correctly.
yeah, I'm pulling up their stats really quick.
If I remember correctly, I think the only team that's below them right now is Auburn.
Yeah, I know Auburn is sitting at dead last in the SEC as of right now, but Yeah, so if A&M is literally like we think down there, like yeah, they're 4-11 in conference.
Yeah.
So this should be one of those real rallies, and that we cannot hit a midseason slump, and we cannot drop a series against an A&M team like that at that
Yeah,
point.
no, yeah, this is one of those games. This is, no disrespect to Texas A&M, but this is one of those games, coming off of a tough loss. This is a rebound game. This is your time. This is your chance to, see, see that you are still a good team, great team actually. And this is one of those games where you need to go out there and fully dominate the dominate the series, and bring out the brooms for a sweep, because like we said, Texas A&M is not that great of a team this year. But like we've said in weeks past, baseball is baseball. Anything can happen. A pitcher can get hot, bats can get hot, doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I fully expect us to come out and take care of business against Texas Tech, and I mean Tennessee Tech and Texas A&M. Sorry, and go undefeated this week.
Yep. And now to kind of transition over, basketball actually got some great
Oh
news.
wow,
Of
yeah,
course,
basketball is.
Marquette's old associate head coach Gainey was officially announced as joining Barnes' staff. But not only that, so we started out like I can't remember if I don't think we had mentioned him, but Jonas Adu, 7-foot center out of Charlotte, had committed after he was previously committed to Marquette. Credit Gainey for coming here and flipping him. And we were talking, we need big men. We got one and a
We
seven
got one.
footer right there. And not just him, originally a Clarksville native, but went up to like a school up in Pennsylvania. 5-star Brandon Huntley Hatfield reclassifies and signs with Tennessee from the
Hmm.
2022, originally the number 6 player in the 2022 class, is now here in the class of 2021 at about 6'10", 230. So two big men in the time. Plus, Fulke announces he's coming
Bulky's
back.
coming back.
Plus, and like with what I've heard, Fulke coming back, his scholarship really doesn't count towards the 13
Mm-mm.
because it's a blanket. We have 2 more spots
Yeah, we still have 2 spots we can fill.
we can fill. But this might be me really going out on a limb like we've said it before, but I think overall this team compared to this past season's team has more tools than anything.
Yeah,
Last year we had more pure shooters, but just couldn't get a lot from it. Now we have that more balance right there of the shooters and big men at that point, I feel. But I'm excited because with Huntley Hatfield and Ado adding them, we're now the number 2 ranked recruiting program and number 1 in the SEC for men's basketball.
it was definitely not the week I was expecting for basketball. To be honest, I was not really expecting any basketball news besides, some hires. Because as we all know, we had some coaches leave. But yeah, no, I was not expecting any of this news. But I saw somebody on Twitter. I can't remember who it was that put it on Twitter. But it's like Thanos, with his big glove that he wears, and he's got the stones in it. But they had like the face of some of our recruits in there. And then whenever Folky announced that he was returning, it was like the final piece or whatever. And so, and then I I, I try to find the video, but it was funny. And it said, the Vols are going to be the next NCAA champions and blah 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 whatever. But yeah, I mean, all that to say, I'm very excited about these guys coming in. 2 big guys. I doubt that to me that means that Walker Kessler will probably not be coming to UT.
He actually committed to Auburn.
Okay, okay, but see, I didn't know that. But I mean, at this point, I'm not sad that he went to Auburn because we don't really need him. Um, I mean, and like you said, we still have 2 more spots left. At this point, I don't really care who we get, because I mean we have a lot of our spots, filled. We got shooters, we got big guys, so I think we're. I mean, at this point, it's just adding depth and adding even more star talent that can contribute to the team. But I'm just, I'm super, super excited. And also, I want to start a petition to let Folky throw out the first pitch for the rest of the season because he threw out the first pitch on Saturday and we won. And the rest of the games that he didn't throw out the first pitch, we lost. So I think I don't think it's a coincidence, but yeah, let Folky throw out the first pitch from now on.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then it's like, what like I was talking to like my family about this. I said, what I wouldn't mind seeing if we do anything with those two scholarship spots, even if we don't bring in a transfer, find one of those kids who still hasn't decided. Even if I say you hold one, like just kick one over, get an extra guy in 2022. But if you sign one guy that, you know, I think he's not necessarily a post player, he's not necessarily like your pure guard shooter type. He can be like that, in between guy who can play a small post, but isn't afraid to attack. Like, get one of those guys who necessarily isn't ready as a freshman that you can mold into that
Yeah.
type of player at that point. But, or if I say if you're going to bring in another transfer, I would shoot for a grad transfer that
Mhm.
has 1 year because there's several other guys in 2022 that I would love for us to be able to go after and use those scholarships on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, it would be nice if we could use one of those scholarships for like you said, bring in a guy that he's going to be a project, but it would be beneficial for him to come in this year and play with all this talent so that way he can absorb all their knowledge and just see how they play the game and see what they can become.
Yeah, and I know one thing I saw, like staying with basketball, they said in the span of a week, Barnes filled the three assistant spots that became vacant and brought in two big men and brought Fulke back all in 1 week.
Yeah.
And I get it. Some people are like, well, he hasn't been able to win big games. But look at the kind of stuff Barnes is still able to do at his age. He doesn't let the stress of like the transfer portal and losing players get to him. He's still able to fight. And I'm happy to say that we'll most likely have Barnes until he retires from
Oh yeah.
basketball because what I look more as, yes, we haven't been able to like get over those hump and win some of those like tournaments, like the big dance. But look at what he's done for our players and like the culture here, the development of these players. Sometimes a lot of players look at that more than anything, especially ones who seek out the NBA who know, hey, they say I have a chance. I'm just not ready yet. Let me go to a coach like this who's going to get me that development. Because look at Grant Williams.
Mhm.
Wasn't really looked at coming out of high school. Went in the first round and he's getting a lot of meaningful time. Yes, the Celtics may not be one of the best teams out there, but still, he's getting a lot of meaningful playing time with them during the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm happy that Coach Barnes is going to be here until he retires. Um, but I mean, guys, I mean, it seems like everybody, like a lot of people, want to play for him. Because I mean, they see, you know, they see the guys that he's been able to put in the NBA. He see recruits see, oh, they've had two guys go and get head coaching positions at other schools. Like they have top notch coaching, and his guys make it to the next level. So you know guys would love to play for Coach Barnes, and the argument to, oh, well, he hasn't been able to get over the hump or blah 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 blah. It takes just one season to get over the hump, and who knows when that season will be? Who knows if it'll ever come? But at the same time, if there's going to be any coach that's going to do it, it's going to be Coach Barnes. Um, but I mean, it could be worse. We could be like Memphis, during the 2019-2020 season, where everybody was like, "Oh, Memphis is gonna blah 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 blah," win the national championship. Now, granted, James Wiseman didn't get to play for most of that season, but still, they had a lot of talent, but yet I obviously we didn't get to play the tournament, but they severely underachieved that year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could be worse. You could be like Memphis, and you could have Penny Hardaway as your coach. But luckily we have Rick Barnes, and it just takes that 1 year. Um, just takes that 1 year to get over the hump, and who knows if this is the year or not. But he keeps bringing in talent, and he keeps making Tennessee basketball the most exciting thing on campus.
That is true. And like another team you could argue with, use that point. Look at Gonzaga.
Yeah,
They always have solid teams and they always come up a little short too. But I don't hear any negativity like that from their fans. Yeah, they want to win, but you see it like look how well they do. They are always one of the top teams every
yeah,
year at that point. Like, this could just be me. Yeah, I want to see us win, but hypothetically, for like, let's say, like, if we have Barnes for 10 more seasons, if we can be finished in the top five those 10 seasons, but come up a little short and not win the big dance, I wouldn't complain.
yeah. I wouldn't complain, but I mean, I would rather. I don't know if how many people would agree with me on this, but I would rather have a 10-year run, like you said, where you're consistently finishing top 10 or top five, and making it to like Elite Eight, Final Four of the dance, than you know win a championship 1 year and then
And
be
then
off
drop
and on
off.
making the tournament. I don't know how many people would agree with that. But I tend to agree with you. Whereas I would rather have 10 seasons where you're consistently finishing top 10, top five, and be a perennial powerhouse whenever it comes to basketball, uh, than you know win a championship. The first 2 years of that 10-year run, and then the rest of the years being on the bubble team or not even making it. So yeah, I agree, but then again, I don't know how many people will agree with us, but that's just yeah.
But yeah, and then to kind of transition over to the last little bit with spring practice, as we know, the orange and white game comes up this weekend. And yeah, so it's like from still highlights I've been seeing, it's been interesting seeing things. You've been hearing a lot of names being called out. Like, Byron Young is one who has stood out, according to like Cade Mays, what they see from him at practice. I know you and me have talked about it, and even when we had Logan on with us doing that special edition one kid all of us said we all kind of agreed was a little underrated to us, is talented. It does not shock me that Heupel praised him from the scrimmage. Walker Merrill.
Yep.
That kid is just seeing, like, hearing what this kid has done. It won't shock me if he really cracks in and is one of the main contributors at wide receiver now at this point. Like, looking at the depth chart, like before spring started, I figured he would get in maybe for a little bit, just not a whole lot. I'm starting to think he could easily work his way up into like a number two guy in that, like, a certain spot on the wide receiver rotation.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. It seems like every time there's an offensive um coach talking, well, let me back up. Anytime, Coach Heupel's up there talking about the offense, or, Coach Galesh is up there, or, Cody Burns is up there talking, they're always saying Walker Merrill. And he just seems to have, chemistry with all three of the quarterbacks really that are in the running for, the quarterback race. And he seems to make those physical plays, and looking at the highlights, he's sneaky fast. I know that we highlighted that whenever we did that special episode that he has quickness that not a lot of people realize.
One of the
But
best route
seeing
runners
it,
too.
yeah, and seeing him go up against SEC defenders and seeing how quick he is against them, it's translating to the next level. At least during practice, it is. But we all know there's a big difference between practice and game. But right now, yeah, I'm super impressed with Walker. I would not be surprised to see him, on the opening day lineup as number 3 receiver, or even number 2.
Yeah, no, I'm happy he's doing well because he still reminds me a lot of old Tennessee receiver Zach Rogers, just one of those guys people kept forgetting about, but will go make a play when his number is called. And
Yeah,
you love seeing that, especially with him being an in-state boy, wanted to stay and rep his state. So I'm ready to see how this spring game's going to go. I'm definitely going to be in attendance for the orange and
yeah,
white
I'll be in
game.
attendance for sure too.
So that's going to give us a lot of content for sure with that of what we're able to really see like
Yep.
going through. And just because I want to see how like I'm ready to see how they're going to divide it up. Like really, like we've seen it change up in years past to where they've had like the uh, ones on offense have been like with the twos on defense have been a team, and then some years they've just done it's offense versus defense, whoever wins that. Or I'm ready to see what Heupel and them are gonna do. Like I kind of hope they go back to it's like our ones like on offense and like our twos would be like orange, and then the others would be white, and then go up against each other that way, as opposed to just being offense versus defense.
Yeah, and another thing I'm ready to see uh, during the game is I think we'll be able to tell, who really the two leading guys are for the quarterback race. So I'm excited to see that, and I really can't make a prediction on who I think are going to be the two guys up there. As the two main guys. I kind of want to say that Hendon is definitely going to be one of the two guys, but for me, it's up in the air between Brian Maurer and Harrison Bailey. You know, Brian Maurer, he had a great day during the open practice, but I like Brian Maurer, but nothing against him. But also, there is some downside. His decision making still is a bit lacking because people forget about after the rain came through during the open practice and a lot of the crowd left the practice. Um, Brian ended up throwing 2 interceptions and only completed 2 passes after the rain. So they're you know it, Brian Maurer's not he's still really good,
He's
but
not just had the consistency that we're
yeah,
hoping.
I don't think he's as good as people are making him out to be. And like I said, all due respect to Brian, he he very well could be a starter day one. But we have not heard a lot about Harrison Bailey at all coming from spring practice. Maybe it's because we know what he is.
I haven't
Um,
heard a lot about any of the quarterbacks. Like they haven't really singled
yeah,
any
they've
one of them
been
out is the thing. And I think that just shows either they still don't know, or it's like what the fans were expecting it to be at
yeah.
that
I
point.
mean, part of me wants it to be part of me wants it to be, such a close race that they don't know. But then again, at the same time, if it's such a close race, that kind of makes me worried um, because, maybe the guys just aren't, separating themselves. Maybe they're all three of them are making careless mistakes. But also, again, that same token, maybe all three of them are playing out of their minds. But yeah, I'm excited to see who's going to be, the main two guys at quarterback.
Yeah, same. And then speaking of quarterbacks, uh, this news came as very shocking to me. I know
Yep.
we had both said it off the record before we had hit the record button, but it's Tennessee picked, like, he hasn't officially announced it, but they said he is in now the student directory. Joe Milton, the former Michigan quarterback, is apparently supposed to be transferring here and enrolling this summer. And I mean, last season, Milton literally, I mean, he completed 80 passes out of his like 141 attempted. Even though he went 4 for 4 on touchdown to interceptions, a little over 1,000 yards. I mean, considering he was up there with Dylan McCaffrey, who was like the starter, one of the main guys before him, like behind Shea Patterson. Like this was just intriguing, and this is like one of those things where I think it's worrying some fans because yes, we know Salter has been suspended, but it's like could that mean our quarterbacks maybe aren't what we were hoping to be
Hmm.
and why he's coming in? But just adding Milton in there, get Salter back for fall camp. Then you have Hooker still, you have Bailey and Maurer. You got 5 talented quarterbacks
Mm.
right
Yeah,
there.
Joe Milton, he's a four-star guy coming out of Florida. Um, a lot of scouting websites actually compared him to Cam Newton coming out of
Well,
high
I
school.
mean, have you seen like last year
I mean, yeah,
the
if you
size
look
he was
at him,
listed?
he looks like Cam Newton
Did you
playing.
see the
Yeah,
size Michigan had him listed at from last season?
I didn't see how big he was.
6'5", 240.
Yeah, yeah, that's right there with Cam Newton. So he's a big-bodied quarterback, not going to get taken down easily. But I was able to look at some of his highlights before we recorded this, and you know I don't know what to think of him. Because as we all know, Big Ten was in flux pretty much all summer, and even whenever the SEC started playing ball, Big Ten was still in flux because they said that they weren't going to have a season, and then they said, "Oh, we'll play in the spring," and then they finally said, "Okay, we'll play in the fall." So I don't know if that contributed to his performance, but
I believe it did just because when they were doing their acclimation, like finishing up, everybody else was already in games
yeah.
at that point.
But I don't expect Milton to come in and compete right away. I definitely think honestly I could see him redshirting. Um,
Yeah, he'll be one of
but
those guys that comes in and I think pushes to get the true potential out of the
mhm.
guys we have here.
But no, I can definitely see him coming in and redshirting. And people were, I've read things where people were surprised that he ended up transferring to UT. But his main schools coming out of high school was Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky, and Michigan, and he ended up going to Michigan. Um, so I'm not too surprised that he uh, came to Tennessee. But to be honest, I didn't even know that he was in the transfer portal. I don't pay attention to Big Ten football, but yeah, I like I said, I expect him to redshirt and maybe be one of those projects. And I don't expect him to contribute much, at least as a starter this year. He'll definitely be a good guy, to challenge the defense during practice. Good practice guy, but like I said, fully expect him to redshirt, and maybe maybe he could be a guy, the guy that we need next season.
Yeah. And like one interesting fact about him, like he when he had entered the portal, it was like right after Michigan season had ended at that point. Guess who one of the first coaches to contact him was?
Who?
Heupel when he was at UCF still. And
Oh,
he's originally from Orlando, so around that area, so was looking strong at UCF. And then Heupel comes here. It kind of makes sense then that he followed Heupel a little bit to come here. And
yeah.
yeah, like I'm still unsure. Like, I see other spots that we could I feel like use the help on. Like, in my
Linebacker.
opinion, we need a true tackle, like to help on the offensive line, since we have some there, just not a whole lot of experience. And then
Linebacker.
linebacker, just with how like thin our inside linebacker room has been this spring. So that's why I was like kind of scratching my head a little bit, but I'm glad, he's coming here because if that's what's needed to kick something in our quarterbacks here's like brain to say, we got to get it together. Otherwise, we're not playing, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. With uh, Milton coming in, do you expect one of our guys to transfer?
I don't know. Like this is where it gets like really risky when you have I think more than four quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like sometimes.
I mean, you never see this many quarterbacks that you know this many quarterbacks that have starting experience on a roster.
Yeah, you don't. Like
All and they're all Division 1 starters. Keep
if
that in mind too.
if anything, I the only reason I would say maybe not because we know Hooker is in his last year of eligibility.
Yeah.
So, and then if like here's the thing too, I could see potentially Mauer like, he's really athletic. He might be able to shift positions if anything to where then it lightens up the quarterback room a bit, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Like this only time will tell at this point. I don't think we won't know a lot more until like coming up towards like fall camp around that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and yeah, I I don't know. I don't know what to think. If you had told me, I think if he had come in, you know, pretty much after the season ended, directly after the season ended, I would not have been surprised to hear Brian Maurer transferring. But right now, it's like you said, I don't know because the coaching staff has kept such tight lips about the quarterback position, and who's in the lead right now, and all that stuff. So I don't know, but yeah, it's all I'm gonna say is it is extremely rare to have this many quarterbacks, Power Five starters in one quarterback room.
Yeah. They have all started a Power 5 game before and it's kind of crazy to think.
All of them have wins as Well, yeah, all of them have wins as starters too, except Maurer doesn't have.
Yeah, he did. He started that Mississippi State game even though he was
Yep, that's
taken
right.
out, we got that win. So he was the original starter. He just got taken out of pulled the rest of the game because of the injury.
Yeah, that's right.
But all of them have at least started a game where we won.
Yep.
But yeah, only time will tell with how this whole quarterback transfer works out. But I think a lot to look forward to for the spring game, and hopefully it'll give us a lot of news to report back to, especially with baseball and softball.
Yep. Oh, one more thing. Uh, Sadly, the Wade twins committed to Kentucky.
Yep,
Because we told you we would keep you updated on that. I was shocked to be, I was shocked to be honest. But I heard that the the reason that they committed is because they were letting I always get them
it's
mixed up.
letting Destin have a shot
Yeah,
at
Destin play
quarterback.
quarterback. Um, but I I was actually discussing with one of my friends. I would not be surprised if we saw him end up in the transfer portal at some point during their career. At least one of them. Uh, I though it'd be no disrespect to Kentucky, but you don't go to Kentucky if you want to make it to the NFL.
Yeah, and also like people got to look there. I've seen some people saying, well, maybe Heupel's proven he's not the recruiter. Austin Price said it best. Until you can host kids in person, who knows? Like maybe we can convince these kids to come here. And actually, yeah, when you said that, that made me forget about two bits of also other good news football got. Um, Riverdale High School in
Yep.
Murfreesboro, Elijah Herring, linebacker, started out the class, committed to Tennessee for the in-state boy, and then Winter Park, Florida, Vincent Sneed officially made his commitment. I heard his interview with Matt Ray of VR2. They went down about 2 weeks ago, so and he committed. really, but finally made it official. So two guys in the boat at that point, positions of need, an edge rusher and a linebacker.
Mm.
And I'm happy with it. Like, even though, like, I really think Elijah Herring is one of the most underrated kids in this
Yeah.
class. He's so athletic. He's got, yes, he's raw talent, but he hits you hard. And that Vincent Sneak has got a long motor at that point. For a kid his like size to be able to move like he does, you don't see that a lot.
Yeah, no, you don't. I'm excited about both of the guys coming in. You know, but ready to see what they can do.
Yeah, and I find it funny. They said asked Elijah who one of the first kids he was going to contact to try to join him. He said Dallin Hayden. Like
Hmm.
he says, like Dallin Hayden, like Isaiah Horton, Cam Miller. He's like a lot of those in-state boys. I'm gonna get them to come with me. So you love seeing he wants to lock down the borders, and hopefully that's good news for us about even Herring's brother, who's a 2023 guy. But only time will tell for that one.
Yep.
But yeah, I was gonna say, other than that, I don't have anything else unless you do.
I don't have anything.
But yeah, other than that, everybody, hope you all have a great Big Orange week. And as always, go Vols.
Go Vols.